It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 80th Awards program of this 101-year-old organization. It was started by a group of maverick retired newspapermen, and yes, they were all men, who chose a name from the geological era in which creatures emerged from the muck, and the name stuck. Early members included William Randolph Hearst and John Steinbeck. We are still an organization of reporters and editors and photographers and now videographers as well. And since 1971, including women. Some, but not all of us, are retired. We have, for 80 years, honored the best New York-based journalism through these awards. And we're happy to say that we still have New York-based local reporting to honor at a time when so many local news operations have folded. And now here is our MC of the evening, former President Betsy Ashton.
This has been the event that everything disastrous has happened to. How many of you have ever chaired an event and you know what I'm talking about? This has been the event from hell in that sense. Mike Serrell, who ran our awards program, had a family emergency and he had to step back. Alan jumped in. Of course, Alan wanted to be here, so he's in the hospital. Anyway, but they're both great guys. It gets better. Wait, just wait. They're both great guys, and they did a lot of work. You know, Alan still ran the awards competition. Mike's fine story about all of the work that you did is in our Silurian News, which is a splendid publication. And you've all got one to take home with you. It's on your seat. Mike did it. Fran, who you will meet in a bit, Fran has been the editor of that publication, and it's really fine. We're very proud of it, and you will enjoy it. Now then, I am just delighted to tell you that, you were invited to this event because you did excellent work. This is a celebration. Your work is recognized as such by a distinguished group of veteran reporters and editors and producers. That's the only way you got here. Whether you won a merit award or the medallion in your category, you are here because what you did was superb. So congratulations. Just a start. There'll be more applause as we go along, but I want to say a word about being here. This is the Grand Gallery of the National Arts Club. Now you're here because of me, because I'm also not only on the board of the Silurians, but my second career has been art. So I'm the member of the National Arts Club that dragged you here. I think you're going to have a good dinner. I think you will enjoy it. Anyway, it's a wonderful club. We were a little surprised yesterday when we came in and found the art on the walls to be a little different. It doesn't just sort of fit into the background. It can be a little shocking, Maybe not what you'd show to your grandmother. And the club very kindly, we have a screen here so that you're not seeing too many of naked men in the background, because it is distracting. But I want to say something. I'm going to put on my National Arts Club cap and my artist cap right now, because I talked to the members of the Fine Arts Committee about this, and they told me something you should know. So, the art surrounding you is worth $3 million. And this art is by a number of really renowned artists. They are gay, They are people who for decades were unable to show, unable to speak, unable to show their creations. And of course, things have changed over the last decade or so. And so this is a celebration of Gay Pride Month, and the club is very happy to show some of the prominent artists who are saying thank you for finally allowing us to show what our humanity is. Now, what does that have to do with what we're doing tonight? Well, actually, and by the way, I just name a couple of some of the people here. You may know them. Peter Hojai, Keith Haring, Dwayne Michaels. These are people who never loan their work out. Never. You know what it's like to get insurance to cover this, to be here and all of that? It's very expensive and very difficult. And so the Fine Arts Committee here is very proud to have this collection here, and you're very privileged actually to be here and to see it. Now, it may not be what you'd put on your living room wall, we understand that. But it is an expression of humanity, and in a sense, they are celebrating the fact that they can now speak in their language and be heard. And tonight, we are very grateful to celebrate the fact that you can report what you want and write what you want and publish what you want and get awards for what you want. May it always be so. Anyway, now back to my journalism hat. You know, I'm just going to say a few words about how we proceed here. We will begin giving out the awards when dessert is in front of you. Lovely dessert. And we will go category by category, beginning with breaking news reporting and building up to the President's Choice Awards. The merit winners will be called first in each category. So if you're a merit winner, we want you to stand, whether you're an individual or a team, stand and accept the applause when your name and your story are called out. In the interest of time, you don't have to come forward, but you will take home a really beautiful certificate. They're over there on the table, and they are beautifully done, and right there. So you do not want to go home without those. Now, medallion winners. Here's where another one of the crazy things happened. Medallion winners are going to come forward when we call you to receive your award at the podium, and we do invite you, if you want to, you don't have to. If you want to say a few words about your story covering or what it meant to you, and, you know, I'll give you the wrap-up if it gets too long, like 90 seconds is about it. And that's in the interest of time because people have to catch trains and things. It's a weeknight. I just want to say you will be taken, you'll be photographed. Our videos are online forever on Silurians.org. You will have the chance to hold a medallion. Here's the hitch. And this may have something to do with what's going on in the country right now. Okay? The company, the little company that designed engraved their beautiful medallions and has produced them for decades, called our awards dinner chair 2 weeks ago and said, I'm sorry to tell you, but we are 2 months behind. Yeah. In our, oh no, not yet. Don't wait. It's going to get better. Anyway, 2 months behind, and they said supply chain issues. Now, yeah. It's also a New York company, and I'm thinking, what have we been hearing from everybody else? You know, I did a whole series of portraits of immigrants, okay? And watch that story. What have we been hearing from small business owners around here? Their people are afraid to show up. They're losing some of their best workers. Some of them are missing. I cannot find some of the people that I painted. So, what we are going to do for you is you're going to come here. We happen to have a medallion from years past. You will have your picture taken with the medallion. You don't have to read it. And you will give it back. Franny, come up here. But we are going to mail you. We have a book. There's a book on that table. Well, it will be when they finish the damn things, okay? They said 2 months, that's August. When we get the word that they are done, we're going to get them to you, but we need your address wherever the hell you're going to be this summer. And so we want you to write it in the book, nice leather-bound book over there, so that we can surely get it to you. However, our dinner chair, Fran, she thought, and we agreed, that it was too tacky to have you go home with nothing after all the work you've done and all that you deserve. So, she's donated a gift that you will get. Each one of you each one of you medallion winners will get to take home. That's We hope that will keep you happy for a couple of months. They're all extra large, so if it's a little large for you, shrink it or wear it as a bed shirt, whatever. Anyway, I think they're kind of cute. I can't wait to wear mine. That's it for now. Enjoy your dinner. Enjoy seeing your old friends and meeting your new friends at the table. We will be back when there's a luscious cheesecake in front of you. It is time to get to the honors and the applause you are here to receive. And we are delighted, first of all, before we present the awards that you earned, to invite you to meet one of our scholarship winners. She is with us, Anna Oakes, who is... Come on up here, Anna. Anna is at the Columbia Graduate School of Journalism, and she's going to tell us briefly what this award means to you. By the way, when I say briefly, we're inviting our medallion winners to say a few words if they like. It's not required. You don't have to. But I'm an old television person, so if it gets too long, we give you the, wrap it up and anyway. Or if you really need to embellish it, that's what we used to do too. But anyway, we want Anna to come up and tell us, what this award means to you. Anna spent the last 2 years reporting on immigration, social movements, and healthcare. We gave out 4 scholarships this year to worthy journalism students. Meet one of them.
Thank you so much for having me this evening. I am so honored to be here among all of you and to be recognized by the Silurian Press Club. I've wanted to be a journalist since I was a teenager, and I admired the work of so many reporters, but journalism as a career just seemed so out of reach to me until I went back to school and was thrown into the actual work of reporting. When I got to Columbia, I was prepared to learn from my incredibly talented professors and colleagues, but just as formative were the 2 years I spent reporting on the student protest movement in the schools, and now the federal administration's response. I learned some of what it takes to cover a developing story. I left anniversary dinners and Passover seders early to run back to school when new encampments started, and I spent a couple nights sleeping with my colleagues under desks at the school. Through that work and my reporting on immigrant communities around New York City, I learned the importance of reporting with sensitivity, thoroughness, and persistence. I was born and raised in New York City, and the support of the Silurian Press Club is allowing me to continue to report here all summer at a time when the city is especially in flux. I've just started an internship at the Citi. And it's been so inspiring to observe the expertise, diligence, and ethical rigor of my incredible colleagues there. The Silurians scholarship will also allow me to continue a story I started at school on the haphazard implementation of a migrant resettlement program in Buffalo. So thank you so much again to the Silurians Press Club for their support. I'm not done yet. For giving me the opportunity to dive into local journalism, for paving the way for emerging journalists like myself, and for having me here tonight.
Wonderful people coming into this world. And now for the awards. The Silurians love to present awards, and so we have more than one presenter. Each is someone who has been a full-time on-deadline working journalist and has judged awards. To give you a better idea of who the Silurians are, because you don't know us really, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what our presenters have done. The awards in our first two categories, breaking news reporting and feature news reporting, are being presented by my fellow board member, Mel Leitner, who is managing our Silurian.org website. You got to look at it. It's really good. He's upgraded us. He's upgraded our reservation systems and more. But for 20 years, Mel was a reporter and editor of hard news, the kind that breaks unexpectedly, much of it in the Middle East for NBC News and United Press International. A reporter for UPI during its Scripps Howard days, he covered all manner of urban mayhem in New York City, and that's his hometown. Deadlines were always 5 minutes ago, and the only excuse for not filing first was if the other guy was wrong. You know that? After stints as a bureau chief and a supervising editor, or slot man, on the general and foreign news desks, UPI transferred Mel to London and then to Israel. As Jerusalem correspondent, he still covered mayhem, but on an international level. NBC News then recruited Mel as its Middle East radio correspondent. Mel Leitner, come on up here and present the next award.
Okay, so I was thinking about all of this, and I recalled Richard Reeves, a legendary journalist, once wrote, "I am a reporter. Give me one fact, 2 rumors, in 20 minutes, and I'll give you 400 words." Reporting breaking news is hard. It is stressful. It is challenging. And so critical to get it right. Which is why I am very proud to present tonight's awards for breaking news. This year's Merit Award for breaking news go to A City in Crisis, the New York Times series on the criminal probes into a host of New York officials, culminating in the indictment of Mayor Eric Adams. The reporters were William K. Rashbaum, Dana Rubenstein, Michael Rothfeld, Edward Wong, and Chelsea Rosmarias. All of you on that team, please stand up to be recognized. The medallion for breaking news goes to Bloomberg News for a series, The CEO Killing That Shocked the World. The victim was UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, gunned down by a masked stranger as he walked to a conference to the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. Bloomberg covered the murder and its aftermath from every angle, including the public anger it revealed at what many considered an exploitative insurance industry. The writers of Bloomberg News stories were Miles Miller, John Tozzi, Antonia Mufarak, David Vorikos, I hope I pronounced these names right, and Matthew Boyle.
When you think of Bloomberg, you don't think about a crime story that happens in Midtown Manhattan, except if the crime story happens outside of Investor Day and it involves one of the biggest healthcare companies in the world. And that's what this is about. The only way that this story came together is employing the 3,000 journalists that work around the world for Bloomberg. And to tell the story quickly, a tip comes in that there's a person killed in Manhattan. Call a chief, and I get an alert that says that it's this guy, Brian Thompson. I went about my day. And while I'm on my way to Capitol Hill to doorstep Scott Bessent on Capitol Hill, meeting with the senators, I could not find Shelley. Shelley was doing something else, and Shelley runs global business. And because we have such a big global team, somebody was able to track down Shelley, and we were able to get those headlines out. And every step of the way, over weekends and over nights in multiple time zones, from Singapore, picking up the work for us, all the way over into Europe, we were able to break a lot of news on this story. And it's only done because we have 3,000 journalists around the world. And I think that really shows by our radio team also being honored with this same award for the same story, because with Bloomberg, we never leave a story alone and we continue to come back to it. So, it's a very big honor for our team to be here and to be focusing on a story that is not just about something that's market moving, but something that really sort of changed the world in the way that we look at business. And that was a market moving story, if anybody follows the markets. That's it.
Our second award category is for feature news reporting. One went to the New York Times for the Harlem Renaissance at 100. Will the team please stand for your acknowledgement? The Tide Merit Award went to streetsblog.com, right? For an investigation into a scam involving fake chaplains. The reporting team, Sophia Leibowitz, Gersh Kuntzman, and Naftali Moster. Please stand for your recognition. The medallion in the feature news writing goes to Emma Goldberg of the New York Times, with photographs by Desiree Rios for Grief and Belief on Death Row. The reporter's beat for this story was the death house at Oklahoma State Penitentiary in McAllister, where last year Philip Hancock awaited execution for the murder of 2 men. The local connection? Hancock had requested Devin Moss, a prison chaplain and a Brooklynite, to guide him spiritually to the death chamber. The twist? Both were atheists. I read the story, and if you haven't, I strongly urge that you do. It's brilliant. Emma?
I just wanted to thank the Times for supporting reporting that takes more than a year, and just wanting to send reporters off to chase something that feels really important and meaningful, as long as it takes and as many trips around the country that it takes. I also wanted to really thank Rachel Dry, who is my editor and who has taught me literally everything that I know about how to report. And also Stella Bugbee and Sam Sifton, who nurture everyone on our desk to do deep reporting and frequent reporting, and reporting that is really zany and creative and just nurture, and I think push us to do the best that we can. So thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Mel. Mel's going to be back in a bit because we have more breaking news in video and in radio. But our next presenter is Richard Gallant. Rich is executive producer of the new newsletter and podcast platform, Now It's History. And he's also a senior fellow at New America. He formerly served, many may know this, as the founding editor and managing editor of CNN Opinion. and as managing editor of Newsday, where he led 2 Pulitzer Prize-winning teams. Rich, come on up here.
It's a pleasure to present awards for investigative reporting at a time when fearless investigative reporting is needed more than ever. This year, the Merit Award for Investigative Reporting goes to Bloomberg News for a story on how Iran skirts sanctions with America's help. The headline was, "The oil was from Iran, the insurance was from New York." And the story was by Zach Mitter and Zeke Fox. Please stand up if you're here. Okay, they couldn't make it tonight, but congratulations to Bloomberg. The top award in investigative reporting, the Medallion, goes to ProPublica for bedbugs, rats, and no heat, how one woman endured a decade of neglect in New York's guardianship system. It was by Jake Pearson with illustrations by Dominic Bodden. Jake, come on up.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this very much. I have extremely uncomfortable. It is. I'm appreciative of the T-shirt. This topic is perennial. This is a system that is forever fucked, that nobody gives a shit about, and I hoped that putting a spotlight on it again and focusing on people who are not Britney Spears, who are the least able to advocate for themselves, might draw some new attention. And maybe we pushed it in the right direction inch by inch, but it remains to me fucked. And I remain disappointed in how few people give a shit about it. But we keep punching, and we keep punching every day, and that's the job. So.
The business and finance category was so strong this year that the Silurians are awarding 2 merit certificates. One goes to Fortune's Emma Hinchliffe for Can Kathy Engelbert Handle the Pressure? A profile of the former U.S. CEO of Deloitte, who is now WNBA commissioner and presides over one of the most dynamic leagues in sports. Emma, please stand up. Again. Thank you. The second is also about pressure. It goes to the Wall Street Journal's Alexander Saidi for how Wall Street pushes young bankers to the edge. Alex could not be with us tonight, but we salute his work. And the Medallion winner for business and finance was published by the Citi with the headline, "New York's fastest growing union is management's best friend, and some workers don't even know their members." The winners are Claudia Irizarry Aponte and Alyssa Katz. Come on up.
Thank you very much for this honor. I'd like to thank, Alyssa, my co-pilot in this. Alyssa is usually my editor, but sometimes we get to collaborate and team up on stories, and this was one of them, and it was a real treat to work with you on this. I'd also like to thank our editors, Richard Kim and Marty Gottlieb, and of course, all the many, yes, thank you. And all the different sources and people who came forward with their stories and helped us report this. And also, I just wanted to say, as a labor reporter, it is often the case that I'll start working on a story and dive into the clips and the archives and run into a story that was written 20, 25 years ago that members a lot of the same actors that I'm looking into, and that was the case in this story. And often it was Tom Robbins who wrote those stories, our beloved friend and colleague who passed away last month. As a young reporter, Tom was extraordinarily generous and gracious with his time. He was kind and encouraging, and we do miss him dearly, and I'd like to dedicate this to him. Thank you.
We're moving on now to science and health reporting. The Merit Award goes to Newsday's Paul LaRocco for his continuing saga of the massive underground pollution caused by Northrop Grumman and its predecessors around Bethpage. Paul, please stand up. The medallion in this category goes to a 2-year investigation that takes us inside the human brain. It is by Catherine Eben of Stat News, the prominent health sciences website. She examined the Living Brain project in which researchers at New York's Mount Sinai Hospital link up with surgeons doing deep brain stimulation on patients with Parkinson's to acquire tiny pieces of living brain tissue for study. The FDA has raised concerns about whether patients are properly informed when they're asked for their consent and about the risks of the procedure.
Thank you so much for this honor. It's great to be here. I'll just say a couple of words about this story, which is it was a bad idea. It started out as a classroom exercise. I was teaching at CUNY investigative health J-school students. It was my first time teaching, and I thought, classroom exercise, let's go. So I brought in a tip, which was about how the FDA had believed that these Mount Sinai researchers were using false pretenses to obtain valuable brain tissue from vulnerable patients. We went through all of our paces, we did the exercises, we submitted FOIAs, and the class ended, and we were nowhere close to a story. So 4 of my students decided to continue. We all had day jobs. By day, I'm a special correspondent for Vanity Fair. They all graduated, went on to their jobs. Our FOIA turned into FOIA litigation. That turned into a 2-year battle. We were meeting once a week for 2 years. Nobody was getting paid for anything. We got funding from the Fund for Investigative Journalism. We kept on going. For the longest time, I didn't know that there was going to be a story. We then went to Stat News. They were like, yeah, let's go. And it turned out to be one of the more contentious stories that I have ever worked on. Stat was incredibly brave. They didn't blink. Mount Sinai was very angry and unhappy. I thought there are other hospitals I can go to in New York if anything should happen to me. And I just want to say that without my awesome students, Audrey Carlton, Zach Smith, Bruce Gill, Emily Nadal, and without the great team at Stat News, Rick Burke, Jason Uckman, and others, we would not have gotten across the finish line. It was like a true suicide project, but I'm really glad we pubbed it, and thank you for this recognition.
Congratulations. And the last category I'm going to present is environmental reporting. Over the years, one of the most consistent winners of Silurian awards has been the New York City News Service, which is run by the Graduate School of Journalism at CUNY. They did it again this year, winning a merit certificate in environmental reporting for a series of stories on how New York deals with its daily mountain of trash. Please stand for applause, New York City News Service. Okay. And the medallion winner in environmental reporting goes to the city for Hazard NYC, Toxic Superfund Sites in the Age of Climate Change by Samantha Maldonado. Great. This ambitious 4-part multimedia examination of 4 badly contaminated Superfund sites in New York City explains how climate change, bureaucratic challenges, and financial barriers are complicating the cleanup. Congratulations to the city.
Sam could not be here tonight because she was doing a members event for the city prior to the local primary election, and she's doing it because we constantly need to raise funds to stay in business as a nonprofit newsroom. So I just want to thank Sam and the other staff who did that tonight, and just sort of remind all of us that the work in our newsrooms is not just the reporting; it's also really keeping the whole enterprise going. And Sam is doing that tonight. I also want to thank some of Sam's collaborators on this project. She did the reporting on toxic sites around New York City, Superfund sites such as the Gowanus Canal, Newtown Creek, and the legacies that they leave today. She also collaborated with our photographers Ben Frachtenberg and Alex Krales, and with podcast producer Jordan Gas-Pere. So I wanted to thank the whole team that worked with Sam on this. Thanks very much.
We move now on to the Arts and Culture series, and to present those, we have our ever-energetic Fran Carpentier. Where's Fran? Fran, did she? Oh, good, there she is. Fran is our Silurians Vice President, and she's the chair of tonight's awards dinner, who, of course, is also gifting you all of these wonderful T-shirts. Now, Fran spent most of her 35-year publishing career as senior editor of Parade, the national Sunday newspaper magazine, which during her tenure was distributed every week into 35 million homes, where it reached more than 70 million readers coast to coast. It was the Super Bowl of print in its day. Fran's expertise was health and lifestyle coverage. She conceived, edited, and wrote articles on a wide range of topics, including health, fitness, psychology, personal finance, food, and of course celebrities. Simply put, Fran's beat ranged from heart disease to heart throbs. And yes, she wrote this for me, you can tell, right? And everything in between. She collaborated with the likes of Gail Sheehy, Gloria Steinem, Bill Moyers, Andrew Tobias, and 3 U.S. Surgeons General, just to name a few. Fran, come on up here.
It's a very good-looking crowd, I just want to say. Okay, the awards for arts and culture reporting take us away from politics and pollution. The Merit Award in this category goes to Alex Traub of the New York Times for doing justice. His piece was for doing justice to the life and afterlife of Buddy Duress. Duress, real name Michael Stathis, was a homeless small-time heroin dealer turned film actor whose life became fodder for the early films of Josh and Benny Safdie. And his signature style of solid reporting and impactful writing, the talented Alex Traub once again captured the facts and the pathos and made Buddy Duress too sadly real for the rest of us. I tell you all, find time, make the time to read Alex's piece. Alex, please stand up and take a bow. And the medallion for arts and culture reporting goes to Christopher Mogg of the New York Times. And that's for his story about 2 upstate cows who innocently wandered, as cows do, onto an animal-loving neighbor's property, thereby leading to rowdy protests, thousands of online death threats, and multiple high-speed car chases between the animal protectionists and the local farmers and residents who take no issue with livestock being slaughtered for our dinner tables. And with his deft reporting and skillful writing, Christopher Mogg captured all of it: the facts, the local color, and the insanity. It's no stretch to say that everyone who reads Mogg's piece can see that his story about the small upstate town of Newfane, New York, telegraphs something unsettling about all of America. And now Christopher Mogg, who presumably did not have the beef tonight, please come up and tell us a bit more about your medallion-winning story. How 2 wandering cows started a culture war. And Chris, remember, touch the medallion, then take the T-shirt.
Story does start with a cow and a steer. The cow was black and named Blackie. The steer was brown with horns and thus named Horny. They were both named by a 3-year-old girl. The state trooper who owned them said, yeah, if we'd known this was going to get famous, I would have picked different names. So I wanted to thank Bill Ferguson, both for being here tonight and for having the, thank you, and for having the great idea to say, as you alluded to, this story gets insane. I mean, it goes off in 90 directions, and Bill had the great insight of it should start like a fairy tale. Start at very simple declarative sentences, and I feel like that really put a lens to the story that was needed and great. So thank you.
Okay, now moving on to sports reporting and commentary. We have a winner in the digital platform space. The Merit Award for Sports Reporting and Commentary goes to Arlene Schulman of nextavenue.org for Newspaperman for the Ages, a profile of Newark Star-Ledger sports columnist Jerry Eisenberg. As Arlene reveals in this delightful piece, Eisenberg never says hello in fewer than 5 paragraphs, has requested that only 2 words should appear on his eventual tombstone, 2 capitalized words, that is, a newspaperman. And he's still churning out provocative columns at the age of 94 with no plans to quit. In this piece, the mighty writer Arlene Schulman captured the newspaperman's grit as well as his glory. Arlene, please stand up. And the medallion for sports reporting and commentary goes to Kevin Armstrong of NJ.com for Come 9th Grade, I Plan to Get Paid. Armstrong's investigation of the Student Athlete Academy, an unaccredited $15,000 a year school that taught middle schoolers to view themselves as brands. Like a classic gumshoe reporter, Armstrong pored over public records, security camera footage, and court testimonies. He pursued tips and conducted multiple interviews, ultimately proving that the administrators and faculty at this quote-unquote school were nothing more than criminals whose primary goal was not coaching 7th and 8th grade students to dunk balls through hoops, but rather pulling the wool over everyone's eyes. And these scoundrels were succeeding until Kevin Anderson shined his reportorial light on their shenanigans. Congratulations, Kevin. Care to share more with us? Come on up.
Yeah, we were first kind of looking at the name, image, and likeness craze in sports and kind of the trickle down to the youth sports. And we heard about Student Athlete Academy. It was in our backyard in a warehouse gym in Wyckoff, New Jersey. And, I went initially just to kind of see out of curiosity, and then you find out that, the fire marshal came a few weeks later and said, you have to leave. They told the school, and they didn't tell anybody. I literally, talked to the principal a week later, and I said, I'd love to come back, another time. Someone had mentioned the fire marshal, but, the principal just said, oh yeah, come back to the same place. And they had already moved to another location. And there was some shenanigans going on and some relocations and tips and, timely, people just kind of directing me, like, hey, the cops are calling around about this trainer. And you look into the trainer's background, and he has a cocaine charge, and he, is all of a sudden, accused of touching a 13-year-old. And so there was, I just think it was, as Jerry Eisenberg, it's kind of funny that we're, in the same category here, but, carrying his tradition with the Star-Ledger and everything he's meant to New Jersey and local reporting, I think he'd be proud of the piece as well. So, thank you.
The editorial, commentary, and public service category gave both of our winners a chance to showcase how deeply diehard journalists oppose all things Donald Trump. And not so incidentally, both of these winners were published by New Jersey's The Record, also known as NorthJersey.com. The merit certificate goes to Charles Stile for Trump and the New Jersey Elections, a collection of 7 of Stile's opinion pieces that use Trump as the bellwether for everything that could possibly go wrong in the Garden State's politics, and therefore in the lives of Stile's fellow Jerseyites. One example, just days after the Democrats were pummeled in the November 2024 presidential election, Stile devoted a column warning his readers about the impact that Trump's win would have on Democrats in Jersey's gubernatorial race in November 2025. Speaking as one of the judges in this category, I know it in my heart that Charlie Stiles' pieces may sometimes spur his readers to action, but they always inform, enlighten, and, need I add, entertain. And that means that he's doing a great job. Congratulations, Mr. Stile. Please stand up. The medallion for editorials, commentary, public service goes to the Records columnist Rob Moraldi, whose three-part entry was bundled together under the title of his powerful lead entry, The First Amendment, Battered, Assaulted, Challenged, which is a veritable call to arms to be vigilant about protecting this essential constitutional right. In this award-winning collection, Moraldi also shed a merciless light on the increasing dangers that big money poses to presidential politics. And he then took issue with the fact that New York courts, where Donald Trump was tried in April 2024, do not allow proceedings to be televised. Moraldi's plain-speaking yet powerful words grab us by the lapels, reminding us who we really are right now, and more importantly, who we need to be. And despite his holding a PhD and having taught media law, Moraldi never builds his arguments with highbrow semantics or erudite terminology. He always gives it to us straight, and we judges loved that. Rob, please come up here and share a thought or two.
I'm a college professor, and you give me a microphone and a group, we may never get out of here tonight. I'll make it really short. Of course, thank you to the Silurians for this award. What I really wanted to do was thank all of you for what you do. I write about the First Amendment. I started writing about the First Amendment in 1991, believe it or not. It was the 200th birthday of the First Amendment, and an editor for Gannett was going to a conference on the First Amendment, and he had no clue what the issues were. He said, "Can you write me a memo?" And 3,000 words later, I gave him a list of all the issues that we were facing when it comes to the First Amendment. So I go way back with the First Amendment. There are always First Amendment issues. We always have problems. For example, New York State did televise courts many years ago. It went wonderfully, and somehow the legislature killed it. And for the last 10 years, we have not had cameras in our courts. So that's an issue that's been going on forever. We've been trying to get passed by the federal government a law which would protect reporters so that they can protect their confidential sources. Right now, if the Justice Department wants you, and this is a time when the Justice Department wants you, there is no federal shield law right now. So that's an issue that's been going on forever. But never have we seen the kind of pressures that we are seeing now on the press. We have a First Amendment. The founders put a First Amendment into place. Protect the press, protect speech, protect assembly. And all three of those are being assaulted right now. And we put that into place not because we wanted to give you guys a privilege. It's great that if you have a privilege, but you should only have a privilege because we need what you do. It's so wonderful to hear the courageous stories and hear the things you give to the public, but we cannot have a democracy and a self-governing society unless we get from you what you have to give us. And if that's not protected, we don't have a democracy. We're not there yet. I think it says battered and assaulted, and I wanted to say ... but not dead yet. We have not lost this battle. I write about the First Amendment because we need what you do, and I thank you for what you do, because what you do makes a self-governing society work. I love to hear stuff at the lowest levels and the highest levels, and at all of those levels, it makes democracy work. And if we don't have the protections of the 45 words of the First Amendment, we do not have and will not have a democracy. And so we need to fight. A lot of my students call me and say, "Professor Moraldi, what should we do?" And I say, don't be quiet. Now's the time to not be quiet. We need to fight the attacks on what you do. And I hope to keep doing this because there'll be no democracy unless we protect what you do. So thank you for what you do.
Moving along to People Profiles. Arlene Schulman wins her second Merit Certificate of the night. Arlene, now you're just showing off. This win is for her nextavenue.org piece, Remembering a Friend Who Can't Recall My Name. A moving and frankly cautionary story about the descent into dementia of Martha Marty Sandlin, Arlene's one-of-a-kind documentary filmmaker friend of 40 years. Stand up again, Arlene. Now, I would think that I was in the wrong place if Alex Vidugal of the New York Times were not being awarded a Silurian medallion at our annual awards dinner. This year, Alex takes home the medallion. Well, you're not taking home a medallion, not just yet, you're taking home a t-shirt. But figuratively speaking for now, you're taking home the medallion for People Profiles. And it is for your industrious scoop of a feature entitled Inside the Funeral Home for New York's Luminaries. This profile of the Frankie Campbell Funeral Home is one of those undeniable, only in New York stories that was hiding in plain sight for decades, actually for more than a century. Because although the most famous and the richest and the most influential men and women are waked there, Campbell has always prided itself on maintaining Pentagon-like levels of privacy. Nevertheless, Alex Vidugal had the sharp instincts of a top-notch reporter that this was a New York story just waiting to be told and that needed to be told. And he had the tenacity to find sources willing to go on the record, plus the writerly chops to, pardon the pun, bring the funeral home to life. But what also impressed us judges, perhaps what impressed us the most, was that Alex was able to gain the trust of William Villanova, the president of Frankie Campbell, who agreed to go on the record. And as everyone in this room knows, and you know it whether you are a breaking news reporter or a feature writer or an editorial columnist, being a great journalist begins with a nose for news, but also demands the ability to win the trust of your sources. And Alex did that in spades. So Alex, come up to the lectern, hold the medallion for a photo op, then take home a t-shirt.
Can I get that t-shirt first? Yeah, thank you so much for that. This is better than a medallion. But yeah, I want to thank the Silurians, but you know, since we're all making our way through this dinner, just I feel a lot of us are probably, we aspire to end up with Frank Campbell if we're lucky. So some of us may be Frank Campbell bound, but I guess just a couple thoughts also to shout someone out, which is part of the reason the story happened is they had been around for 125 years, and they'd never really let a reporter inside to spend some serious time. So it was a shot in the dark thing, but one of the reasons I think they even agreed is because I had the privilege of being a Times obit reporter just before that, and Bill McDonald was my editor, one of the great editors at the Times. But they kind of knew my stuff, for better or worse, because, you know, a lot of dead people in the Times end up at Campbell. So I think that kind of, they were like, okay, we think he'd give us a fair shake. But yeah, it was just a wild, zany ride. It was like reporting about the State Department of Death. And I could only even get in there when there were only so many cadavers in the building. It was a whole thing. So thank you so much for this, and thank you to Sam Sifton and Stella Bugby, my bosses, who let me do it. Huge thanks to Jim Windolf, who any writer would be lucky to have as an editor. And it's obligatory, I have to give a shout out to someone else, because Jim may have edited it, but the guy who taught me to write a story like that was Bill Ferguson, my first serious editor at the Times. Thank you, and if it's not too unseemly, just a shout out to Dean Chang, who, yeah, and I hope I'm not going over my limit, but you know, Dean was the head of the Stringers, the Stringer group at the Times, and that's a lowly starting point in journalism, and no one has to be kind. But he was very, very kind, and he gave a lot of young reporters their first shot and their first break. So that kindness went a long way for a lot of people. Thanks.
I'm back with you, and I will be presenting the next 4 categories including photography categories that I help judge. And now that I'm a professional artist, painting, among other things, that sort of fits in with the visual arts. But just to let you know, I was doing what you were doing, what you are doing. I mean, I was the first woman anchor and reporter on a major radio station in Washington, D.C. in 1971. Yes, I'm older than I look. Anyway, I quickly moved into television news, covering everything from the courts to consumer issues, until CBS News tripled my salary, lured me to the big bad city. Of course, then I learned that tripling my Washington salary still wasn't enough to live well in New York, but nevertheless. And then I was a consumer reporter and had an investigative unit and investigated everything that affected your health and safety and pocketbook, which covered a lot of territory, and was on the 6 and 11 o'clock news every night on Channel 2, and then the CBS Morning News as well, that was at 7:30 in the morning, with Bill Curtis and Diane Sawyer to begin with, remember them, and later Meredith Vieira, then Phyllis George, and then Maria Shriver. It was, it kind of moved along. Remember those days? Anyway, just like you folks out chasing stories, I did not get much sleep in those days, but it was a lot of fun, and a lot of interesting things learned during those years. And I'm going to start with minority affairs reporting here, and an important area, and the Merit Award tonight goes to those kids from the Bronx whose street dancing, now just called breaking, made a worldwide impact at the Olympics last summer. The Times gave us a visually spectacular print, video, and photographic presentation on the newest global sport in breaking's Olympic debut by the team of Jonathan Abrams, Bidel Sagat, and Umi Siam. Please stand and take a bow. Beautiful work, beautifully done. And now then, when considering abused and neglected minorities, not everyone thinks of the disabled. So it was a bold move when the editorial managers of The Record and NorthJersey.com decided to assign reporter Gene Myers full-time to reporting on New Jersey's disabled population. His series, Living with Disability in New Jersey, wins the Medallion for Best Minority Affairs Reporting. Myers, who himself lives with cerebral palsy, wrote powerful stories documenting the abuse and the neglect of the disabled across the state. And Mr. Myers, are you here? Please. Come on up here.
I'm the only reporter in New Jersey who covers disability, and I wonder how many across the country there are. Not many. This award is recognition of the stories, but also encouragement to keep covering communities and issues that are often pushed to the margins. In my reporting, I try to make space for people whose voices aren't always heard. I'm thankful for those who share their stories with me. I also want to thank my editors and colleagues like Alex Nussbaum and Dan Sforza, who helped me shape this work, pushed me to make it stronger, and spotlight it across Gannett's papers and sites. At a time when journalists are constantly being tested, and when efforts to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion are under attack, it is important more than ever to stand together, encourage one another, and keep doing the work that informs, connects, and holds power to account. Tonight's event reinforces that commitment. Thank you.
We have awards in all categories: breaking news, feature news, and sports. They were all a hat trick for Long Island's Newsday. In breaking news photography, Newsday's Thomas Ferraro won the Merit Certificate for his Stunning photo of Israeli-Palestinian conflict on the streets of Long Island. The hate could be felt by looking at the faces opposing each other during a street demonstration. Thomas? Congratulations. Newsday's James Carbone took the medallion for After the Flood. Carbone's entry captures the efforts to save the fish population. It's a wonderful picture of they're in Stony Brook Mill Pond after catastrophic rainfall last August caused the Long Island Ponds Dam to give way, allowing all the water to drain almost entirely into the harbor. James, come on up. This is just great picture of these men with the fish.
So I'm not really a public speaker, so I try my best. This is like, new to me. So I would just say, it was an honor to receive this award. And I'm a big animal lover as it is. So if you know me, I love animals, cats, dogs, cats, dogs, and everything. We have 2 dogs at home and a cat. We got a zoo in my house, me and my son. So covering this image was really awesome because even fish, I love fish too. So, you know what I mean? I don't really eat fish, but it was awesome. Hey, good seeing you. That's my friend back there. Long time. Oh, what's up? What's up? Wow, what's up, buddy? What's up? Okay, now I'm getting comfortable here. Okay. Okay. So basically, this award was really awesome because Newsday, working for News is amazing. It's an amazing place. The people that work there are amazing. The bosses, really, it's an honor. So, starting my job, I started as a freelance. I just, I tell you quick. I got a few minutes here. I'll be quick. Well, I started my career by chasing, when at 13 years old, I lived across the street from a police station in Richmond Hill, Queens. I grew up in Queens, and I wanted a scanner at 13 years old. That's how it all started, this business. I started chasing police cars. I was at I remember this to this day. There was a bank robbery. I took my bike to the scene 4 blocks away. I rode over with the money, the cops yelling at me. I still get yelled at by police today at scenes. So going back to this story with the dam, it was a major collapse. I mean, I never seen anything like that before. Usually you see that, on the States. So luckily nobody got killed. But I get to this dam and they're rescuing these fish that were in a pond. I was like, wow, this is wild. And I see these guys, I'm waiting for the magic shot. I'm like, come on. People were getting in my way. I'm getting aggravated. Finally, I get that image was captured where the guy's coming right at me and the tail was hanging out, so it told the story. So that was amazing. So that was a cool picture. And again, I'm just honored to, I try my best, as Newsday knows, for the breaking stories. You guys don't know, I'm not going to brag about it, but Gilgo Beach, I was there when it first broke. I broke the story. Now I'm photographing him in court. So I am a hardcore journalist, and I dedicate my work for Newsday, and only Newsday. I'm very loyal. They know that because they treat me good. So that's what I was going to say. So they're a great paper, and thanks to them, I'm getting this award. It's all on them. So in honor of that, can we also bring up the whole team for a photo quick?
Sure.
Let's go. It's not about me. It's about you guys too. Come on. No, you got to come up. No. You don't want to come up? All right, we'll do it later. I tried anyway.
But we can order T-shirts for all of them.
Yeah, I tried, but it's about them too.
I know.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. It's not just for me. Thank you.
Moving on to feature news. Wonderful. Feature news photography. Newsday's Alejandro Villa Loarca, is that right? She wins the Merit Award for a photo titled Prodigy of a young boy looking very much in control of a math science lab setting. Villa Loarca also won the Medallion for A Mother and Daughter's Love, a touching portrait of Stasia Anaskoka and her 10-year-old daughter Sadie in April of 2024. Stasia and Sadie were both born with a rare genetic condition known as Holt-Oram syndrome. We see Stasia teaching her daughter how to function with extremely short arms that result from this syndrome. It's a beautiful picture. Congratulations, Alejandro. Now, she had a family commitment tonight. We understand she can't be here, but we have a photo photo editor? All right, wonderful. Come on up here.
Hi, I'm John Keating. I'm accepting for Alejandra. I just wanted to say I wanted to congratulate her. She's successful because she wins the trust of her subjects. And you'll see that in another award she's going to win later tonight. But because she does that, the reader is able to see private and unguarded moments that you normally wouldn't capture. So congratulations, Alejandra. We're all very proud of you.
And sports photography, moving on to that. Newsday's J. Conrad Williams Jr. won the Merit Award for a surprising shot of professional bull riders in New York. Who knew there was such a thing? And once again, Thomas Ferrara, who has made several appearances at the awards dinner, wins the Medallion for fan interference, a photo that captured the moment in the 2024 World Series when Yankee fans intentionally got in the way of Dodgers outfielder Mookie Betts as he tried to make a catch at the wall during Game 4. Thomas, wonderful shot. Come on up here.
I agree with everything James said. I'm a photographer. I'm not good at the public speaking stuff. I have to thank everyone at Newsday. I'm immensely proud to be part of that team. I'm very grateful to the Silurians for the honor and everything that you guys do for the industry. And I suppose I have to thank the two Yankee fans who interfered with Mookie Betts' catch, without whom this photo couldn't have been made. So, thank you all very much.
For the television video breaking news category, once again, the Merit Award goes for reporting on the indictment of Mayor Eric Adams. This time, the winner is WABC TV's Eyewitness News team for their coverage of Mayor Adams indicted. Eyewitness News at 11. Will the team or representatives please stand up? Not all at once. Okay. For the Medallion, we again return to the coverage of the shocking Midtown Manhattan assassination of insurance CEO Brian Thompson. The television Medallion goes to NBC's Jonathan Deist, Tom Winter, Courtney Copenhagen for their coverage of the arrest of Luigi Mangione for the killing of Thompson. Deist, the winner of many awards, and his colleagues produced 6 excellent reports over 5 days that covered the assassination and the pursuit of Mangione, as well as its impact on the victim's family and company. This was breaking television news at its best. Come on up.
Well, thank you all very much. Our colleague, Courtney Copenhagen, who won this award with us and regularly produces a lot of the great work that Jonathan and I do and work so hard, she's on a very perilous assignment tonight. She's in the middle of a 5-day journalism conference in New Orleans, Louisiana, eating and whatever else she wants to do afterwards. So we wish Courtney the best, and we hope she makes it back home okay. Also, huge thanks to my reporting partner for so many of this country's worst events, terrible things. He's a friend, and in this business, when somebody says that they're a friend, you usually look to their hands and wonder which one the knife is in. But Jonathan is a true friend, and he's been a great colleague over the last decade, and I'm honored to work with him. To your point, Mel, he's won many awards here, and he deserves all of them. And then our colleague, David Rode. David works tirelessly, is our senior executive editor of national security and law enforcement news. David must be a little bewildered tonight because he's sitting next to Jonathan and I and not receiving 10 to 12 calls a night, and he actually had dinner. So that's an unusual thing for you, David, but we're very grateful for your hard work. This was just as classic a New York crime story as it could get. So many in this room worked on this type of story. There's so many great reporters in this room. So for us to have an opportunity to win this award means a lot. You know, America's law enforcement institutions are under a lot of scrutiny, and they deserve it because they have a lot of power. But in that group, we found that there's a small contingent that believes very much in the same things that all of us in this room believe in, which is the public has a right to know information. They have a right to have context. They have a right to know what these law enforcement agencies are doing. They have families, they have names, they have titles, officer, lieutenant, agent. but they still talk to us, all of us, when these types of things happen. So to that small group, I think we're also thankful as well. Thank you.
The last category we're going to report on is radio audio feature reporting. The Merit Award for radio podcast goes to the show All In, hosted by Art Stapleton and producer Paul Wood. Art and Paul, please take a bow. Bloomberg News wins the radio podcast honors for its highlights of its first hour of coverage of the killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan, followed by updates that aired in the first 24 hours after the news of the murder broke. Anchors Tom Keene and Paul Sweeney earned the prize, along with reporters Shelley Banjo and Katya Porzansky.
Who still listens to radio? Yeah. And I do have a confession to make. After we did the initial story and the days later when the suspect was arrested, I have to admit, and this didn't make it into the entries, but I kept referring to him as Chuck Mangione. But anyway, the last time I was here, and I'm embarrassed to say, was 40 years ago. And in that time, you know, the ranks have thinned, but it really is encouraging, and I'm serious, to see younger people taking over the mantle. So with that, have a great night. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Eileen, who did the judging and who wrote the material of why she picked these awards. Eileen Jacobson, who is our current president, began covering the arts when she was a staff writer for the Washington Post Sunday magazine. She went on to become a special writer at Newsday, well represented tonight, where she reviewed theater in New York City and became a voter on the Tony Awards. What a tough job to have. Anyway, in 2008, she became a regular contributor to the New York Times, writing stories about the arts on Long Island and reviewing equity theater. And when the Times closed its Sunday Long Island section, she got the fun job of writing about real estate features for the Living In column and getting to go into, I guess, a whole lot of really cool houses, right? Cool living in situations. Anyway, she's also the author of Women in Charge, Dilemmas of Women in Authority, and co-author of the Consumer Reports Money Book. She's currently writing a book about her parents' journey to Shanghai, where they went to escape the Holocaust, where they met, married, and where she was born, from Shanghai. We are very happy to have Eileen Jacobson with us. Now, here are the two President's Choice winners, and I'm reading her words. The two articles I chose as the President's Choice winners take a similar approach to very different topics. Both tell the complex and compelling stories of individual people as a way to illuminate larger social problems. Sandra Petty, a Silurian who is an investigative reporter at Newsday and has frequently won Silurian and other awards, explored the way one young teenager came to be sexually trafficked and couldn't get free. Tatiana Taylor was 13 when she was beaten by a man she thought was a friend's uncle and then gang raped by him and his friends. The details of Taylor's life, Petty learned in her investigation, Sex Trafficking on Long Island, are familiar to Long Island law enforcement members. Though it is difficult to count the numbers of such a hidden crime, the U.S. Department of Justice considers Long Island to be among the top 20 destinations for human trafficking. I didn't know that. Oh. Now, age 30, Taylor is no longer a prostitute, but her life is still a struggle, as delineated in Petty's powerful article, which is accompanied by poignant photographs and a moving video by Newsday photographer Alexandra Villa-Leorca, with whom Sandra shares this honor. And Newsday's editor Rochelle Sleets and photo editor John Keating are going to accept the award for Sandra and Alejandra, who could not attend tonight. Come on up here.
Thank you to the Silurians for this award. Sandra is so sorry that she could not be here. She was looking forward to this due to an unfortunate incident. She's going to be okay. You have me. Sandra is a fearless, strong, persistent reporter. She comes to, she brings amazingly, deeply disturbing, sometimes, ideas to the editors, and we go through this with her. As part of this series, she wanted to map out clusters of dead women, over 100, across Long Island over the decades. And a lot of them, about a third of them, were sex workers. Someone earlier said, I think from Publica, that there are topics that people simply don't care about. Well, sex workers is one of those. Sandra is very passionate about giving a voice to people who folks don't care about, they don't care to read about, but she sticks to it. And just as she's persistent in her reporting, she's also very, very careful in how she treats her subjects. So, if you haven't seen that, a series of stories and the documentary on Tatiana Taylor, it is amazingly sad. It's deeply disturbing, but it brings attention to an area that is a big problem on Long Island that we really do need to make sure that we look at, and we start to hold people accountable for what's going on with women who are in the sex trade and forced into it. Along with Sandra, a lot of reporters, especially TV reporters, will say, Sandra brings us into really, really dark places on Long Island, seedy motels. She, along with Alejandra, have risked their own lives. I'll always say, take someone with you, make sure you're okay. I'm saying that a lot with them. But she's going, to the depths of, really down to the depths to get the reporting, to tell the stories that no one else is doing. So congratulations to Sandra and Alejandra on this award. Very well deserved, and there's more to come.
And the second President's Choice Award goes to the New York Times. This entry is also in the fine tradition of enterprise reporting that seeks to tell the stories of people striving for a better life amid overwhelming obstacles. The Migrant Experience, From the Border to Shelter, is the title that the Times gave to its two-part entry, both involving visual elements as well as intensive reporting. The first segment, reported by Luis Ferrer-Sedurni, was recorded in images by photographer-videographer Juan Arredondo. They followed the Arguila Ortega family, 2 adults, 3 children, and their dog, during their perilous months-long journey from Colombia to the Mexico-U.S. border. They encountered corrupt officials, saw corpses of migrants who had perished, and numerous obstacles. Through the family's story, we set out to understand the life-changing decisions millions of migrants must make every year in exchange for a shot at making it to and in the United States, Luis later wrote. The Times team fulfilled their mission. For the article about the New York City's massive shelter system, the Times teamed Luis with Times photographer Todd Heisler, a Pulitzer Prize winner, resulting in an absorbing 3,500-word story. Please come forward and accept your award. Congratulations.
Thank you to the Silurians. Thank you to the Times for really giving us the time and resources, to Todd, Juan, and I, to really take a big step back and think ambitiously about how to give New Yorkers a new perspective on a 2-year-old storyline at the time I started covering it last year, that New Yorkers were perhaps perceiving just by what they were seeing on the streets. And we got to travel to Mexico, to the southern border, to Texas. I went up to Canada, to the northern border, and of course into the city's migrant shelters to tell this story. Dean Chang is going to get another shout out tonight. He was my former editor who really half of my relationship with Dean is banter and making fun of each other, but I learned a few things from him only half, a little bit more than half. And this award is as much yours as it is ours. And lastly, Todd, being a reporter, journalist can be a pretty solitary job. And I've had the privilege to work with this guy for more than a year now on most of my stories. And his photographs are really the heart of our reporting. And he's become a brother and an accomplice in everything we've been doing. So it's been an honor. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dean. None of this happens without the support of your editors, and the best thing you can hear from your editor is to just say, just go and just keep doing that and spend time with people. And so, I want to thank Megan Lorem, our director of photography, and Beth Flynn, our deputy director, who really supported this project, and Raul Vilchis and Olivia Ben-Simon and Sylvia Poznansky, our freelance writers who are really incredible, intrepid reporters who helped us with all these different communities. And of course, Eve Edelheit, our picture editor on this, who I think believed in this project more than anybody, and really, really kept us going and kept us on track. But I think, this goes through a lot of layers of editing. It takes a lot of time, but I think what I'm grateful for is through all that, we never lost sight of the humanity that we were covering. And on that note, I think it's really important to note, none of this happens without the trust of the people that we talk to and let us into their lives and let us into their homes. So, that's, I think, what's most important here. Thank you.
While they're doing that, I just want to thank our awards chairman, Alan Dodds-Frank, who will be watching. He's in the hospital. Give him a wave. And Mike Serrell, who is at home but worked so hard on this. Our technical consultant, Ben Long, who is here somewhere. Ben, all right. All of our judges, David Andelman, Susan Antilla, Joe Berger, Kathleen Campion, Fran, of course, Suzanne Charlet, Bill Deal, Tony Gaida, Eileen, David Margolick, Kevin Noblet, Eleanor Randolph, Mike Serrell again, Jeffrey Tannenbaum, Thomas Watkins, and Scotty Williston. Thank you so much, everybody here. You can read more about us in the Silurian News, on our website, silurians.org. And, join us. We have been celebrating integrity and excellence in journalism since 1924. We're going for the next 100. And with that, tonight's program is over. Your job is to go out, create great journalism, and we'll see you back here again next year. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.